All right, we're ready.
Welcome, everyone, to the October 27th meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee of Sonoma County. As usual, we'll start out with introductions, and in advance, forgive any coughing and hacking and my sucking on cough drops. Getting over an illness, and the cough just seems to linger. The introductions, we have Steve Bertelbaugh, not Sally Davis. From SCTA, we have Drew Nichols, David Raperda, and Shauna and James will likely be joining us later, and Dana Ture and Chris Barney. From the city of Petaluma, Ken Eichstad. From the city of Sebastopol, Mario Landeros. City of Roner Park, Edie Takata. County Parks, Elizabeth Tyree. Sonoma County, Oriana Hart. Ross Quindon, from SCTA, RCPA, sorry I missed you. Kevin Thompson from the city of Cloverdale. Craig Scott from Katati. Mona from town of Windsor. Nancy from Santa Rosa. Hunter from County TPW. And Orlando Ramirez from Caltrans District 4. Thanks for joining us, Orlando. And I think that's it. Did I miss anybody? Seeing none, do we have any public comments?
Yes. I want to focus our attention for just a moment on what's happening at the state level regarding vehicle miles traveled. We have a county objective to reach zero emissions by 2030, which calls for about a 6% per year reduction in vehicle miles traveled. At the state level, CARB is wrestling with the question of what their scoping plan is going to be, but it's pretty clear that it's going to require some reduction in vehicle miles traveled. We're estimating right now 1 or 2%, but it may go bigger. So I hope that each of the public works departments is looking at what they can do in order to reduce vehicle miles traveled. And the principal thing, I think, is making roads comfortable for people that ride bicycles and for people who walk, because the shift from driving to riding a bike is one that can be made. That speed limits probably are going to have to be reduced in a number of places. So my hope is that this is going on at the staff level so that you can report to your boards as to what measures you need to take in order to reduce vehicle miles traveled. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. I can only speak for Healdsburg, but I think I represent just about everyone here. We all take that into account, and we're all doing our best. Limited funding for how much we can do, but I know we spend a large percentage of our available discretionary funds on pedestrian and bicycle projects these days. It's never enough to keep up with what we want to do. So with that, we had Steve and Vanessa join us. Thank you. We are on to approval of the meeting minutes of September 22nd. Does anyone have any changes, comments, additions? Seeing none, if I could get a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Oh, hold on. I have an edit.
Okay, go ahead,
Drew.
Nancy.
Dude, don't call it the R word. Just say I'm going to be a free agent. Sorry. That R word just sucks. It's
It
okay.
pained me to write it too.
We will accept that comment, but we will not change the meeting minutes. And we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Craig Scott, second.
Excellent. The meeting is approved. I mean, the minutes are approved. with Nancy's note of free agency. Onward, item 4, SB 743 implementation, VMT. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. So just wanted to give a quick update to everyone and poll the group on things going forward. So as you all probably know, the VMT reduction and mitigation calculator is actually out in the wild and available to be used. So just wanted to check in to see if anyone's been using that and if you've had any issues using that. So if you do, please let me know. And also wanted to check in and see if there are any other types of activities that SCTA could support you with as you look at implementing SB 743 and VMT reduction. So right now, definitely looking at keeping the VMT maps and VMT summaries up to date and keeping VMT mitigation, banking, and exchanges on the radar. So that's definitely something be looking at over the next year or two, but wanted to just poll the group and see if there's anything else that we should be keeping track of as well that would be helpful.
Does anyone have any response, comments for Chris? You'll probably get more comments from the pack, Chris.
Yeah.
So if you think you
Chris,
can think of anything, just let me know. So
yeah. So Chris, first off, congratulations on your new position. And Santa Rosa has yet to use the calculator. I don't want to say that we're probably going to be first out the gate, but yeah, we're just standing by to see if anything triggers us as far as development proposals. But thus far, nothing. So, yeah.
yeah, that's all I have today, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Seeing no other comments, we will move on to item 5, TDA 3, TFCA quarterly reports. Dana?
All right, so in your agenda packet is the report for the first quarter for both the Transportation Development Act Article 3 projects and the Transportation Fund for Clean Air projects. There are a couple projects highlighted in red that have upcoming expiration deadlines. I'd also like to point out on the TDA Article 3 projects, there are a few with upcoming expirations at the end of this fiscal year. And for the TDA 3 projects, you cannot do an extension for that program. So I have been talking with Roanoke Park and county regional parks on the Crane Creek projects on solutions for that. But Nancy, I'll just put you on the spot. If you could make sure that Rob Sprinkle's aware of the deadline for the Santa Rosa Bike and Pedestrian Enhancements Phase 2 projects with TDA 3 funding expiring at the end of this fiscal year. That would be great. If anybody has any questions, please let me know.
So Dana, is this a new rule where they're not allowing extensions for the TDA or not?
No, it's always
sorry.
that way. There's a 3-year
Right.
time frame in which you need to spend the funds.
Yeah. So on Santa Rosa Avenue, we're gonna need to rebid that project because it came in way over the engineer's estimate by a couple $1 million. So we hopefully will get some better bids this spring, but I'll just make sure Rob knows that we have a time sensitivity to the TDA funding. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Seeing no other comments, thank you, Dana. Onward to item 6, Measure M discussion, invoicing and obligation status. David?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So in your packet, there's the usual table showing the status of appropriations and invoicing. I am going to have a follow-up conversation with the county on the Airport Boulevard project and Arnold Drive bike lanes project, which needs to get closed out. And we're having discussions with some of the other project sponsors about the current appropriations for this fiscal year, whether those are going to move forward. And I believe the county's Mark West Springs Road project is also moving forward, since that one is going to get awarded for construction soon. And so that's it on the appropriations item. And Mr. Chair, if we can proceed to the inactive projects list, if you're ready.
Please.
So on the inactive projects list, Shauna had added a couple columns to the table. We get the table from Caltrans headquarters and showing kind of what we've gotten from you on the status of your invoices. Don't want to call everyone out, but just stay on top of your invoices and make sure that you keep your projects off the inactive list. We realize on projects from the Highway Bridge Program, there's kind of limited funding available. And so some projects are having to wait till the next phase gets authorized. So we understand that. Just going to point out a couple projects. Ken, I know the last couple of comments we got from you on Petaluma Boulevard South, where you're going to follow up with Jeff on the invoice. Is there any update on that?
Yeah, there is. I just pinged him on it. The invoice got rejected, and so he's going to revise it and resubmit is the status of that.
Okay. And I believe there are some, looking at the list, I think in previous ones we had shown some old projects that haven't been closed out, and I think there's some activity happening with those. But just make sure you stay up to date with Ken at Local Assistance on any closeout activities you need. I know there's some old stuff that are still on there, but unless anyone has any questions or has any other discussion, we can move on to the next item, Mr. Chair.
Oriana?
We get paid. Is there something else I need to do to get off this list?
I think it takes a little while for Caltrans headquarters to remove people from the list, but
Just making sure I didn't miss a duck. Thanks.
Congratulations on getting paid.
That was fun.
So, hey, David, Nancy here. So we've got that Safe Routes or that school project that's been on there for like 10 years. So I actually talked to Ken and got all the information from him. So we were all our team was all in a go mode, right, to get all these forms completed. And then the engineer who took this on to help button this up, she went through and said, well, God, this is what Julia Gonzalez submitted like 10 years ago, right? Same exact information. So she actually called Ken this week and was talking to him as a follow-up. And so the bottom line on this one is that Ken's going to check with headquarters because he thinks that we don't need to submit anything else. So I think it's been a fire drill at this point. It looks like for nothing for us to resubmit. But he's going to follow up with the engineer, Ken, at Caltrans, just to confirm that. But that's the latest on a like a 10-year saga. So just FYI.
Great, thanks for that update, Nancy. And I know we're dealing with a couple other 10-year-old projects that should have been closed out long ago with Caltrans and may have already been closed out like your project. So hopefully headquarters will get things sorted out soon.
No other questions? So David, you have additional discussion on 7.2 federal obligation status?
Yeah, just thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our semi-annual update on the status of obligations. We've updated that using the obligations through September. If there's anything on here that looks incorrect, please let us know. This item will be going to the board in the future, I believe in December. But just please stay on top of your RFAs. And I know we have some STIP projects in here as well that are going to have obligation and deadlines as well, and allocation requests that are going to need to get submitted to the CPC. But if you have any questions, please let us know.
Great, thank you. If no one objects, we will move on to 7.3 announcements, the SMART and ATTAIN notice of funding.
I think, Mr. Chair. So we just wanted to pass along these two NOFOs from FHWA. It's a couple of new programs coming out of the bipartisan infrastructure law, and they're kind of focused on kind of ITS elements. I know there was some interest perhaps from Ken I don't know if you want to ask the group if anyone else is interested in these funding programs, but we're just providing this for information and seeing if there's anyone that are interested in these two grant opportunities.
I'll just jump in, David. Not having direct experience with these, I'm not sure what sort of likelihood. After going through, cycle 6 of ATP, there's a fair amount of effort. And didn't really get as close as I had hoped. But I'm just wondering if there's, leverage at a county level that, with SCTA kind of, corralling us. And the one I was thinking of is just speed feedback signs, because they're relatively easy to implement, and we can kind of get a quantity discount. And so I'm just throwing that out there if there's any potential for that, or if, people had any thoughts on it. Thanks.
Yeah, I have no feedback for you, Ken. Healdsburg isn't intending to apply for either of those two grants as they come up. Anyone else? Seeing none, you're
No,
blazing the trail, Ken.
Yeah, you sound not likely for Santa Rosa either.
All right. Thank you.
And I think the small size of this program makes it hard to compete nationally for them. If this was like $100 million at the state level, then it may be something easier to pursue. But I think unless we had some kind of major regional ITS push for connected and autonomous vehicles and other type of smart infrastructure, I don't know how successful we would be on this.
Yeah, I'm curious, David, do you know if MTC, how they look at it? Have you had any communication with them on any of the federal grants?
I haven't heard anything from MTC on these two grant opportunities. I don't think it's programs that they've been prioritizing, but we can reach out to them and see if they know anyone that's going to apply for them, or if they're looking at it from regional approach.
Thank you.
No other comments. Onward to 7.3.2 Caltrans draft planning grant guidelines comment period.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think Chris Barney and I will tag team on this one, but this is the annual Caltrans Sustainable Planning Grant opportunity. I believe there is an extra 50 million this cycle for climate adaptation plans and those types of opportunities. And I'll turn it over to Chris if he has anything else to add.
Yeah, there are 3 different funding programs that are available this time. They're all one-time opportunities. There's one through Caltrans that's focused on climate adaptation, and then 2 through the Office of Planning and Research. One thing I would point out is some of the potential projects listed include evacuation planning and responding to flooding and other climate emergency events. So they're really pushing these. These are statewide programs. So, there's some potential there if you have anything that could line up with those funding requirements. So they actually did just have a webinar on the requirements and how to apply this last Tuesday. So they did record that training. So if you're interested, let me know and I can point you towards that resource.
Chris, if not too difficult, maybe just send it to the whole group.
Yep, that sounds good.
All right, we are flying today. Next item is the upcoming SCTA RCPA board meeting on December 12th.
I'm just going to jump in and say that the November board meeting has been canceled, and the next SCTA RCPA board meeting will be on December 12th.
Great. So I'm guessing there's nothing there.
No, just notice that the November meeting's canceled.
Nothing specific known on December 12th of interest to this group.
But as I mentioned, Mr. Chair, we will have the update on the federal obligation history. So if you have any comments on that, that'll be going to the December board. And I believe we'll also be having a presentation from MTC on the status of all the work that's happened on Highway 37. I'm not sure if that's of interest to anyone in the group, but that should be a big item. And I think we are trying to work with City of Santa Rosa for Santa Rosa Creek obligation for Measure M, and I think there's a couple items that we'll also have on the December agenda, but it shouldn't be that big of an agenda, hopefully.
Great, thank you. Item 9, roundtable discussion, grants being pursued, bid environment, other business, comments, announcements. Jump on in there. Edie?
I'm curious if anyone applied for Safe Streets for All. Just curious, we did. I don't know if we have a chance. They're only giving out 100 supposedly for infrastructure, but many more for action planning. But yeah, anyone?
Yeah, Edie, Nancy here. We did apply for Safe Streets for All.
What'd you apply for?
Funding, more funding for our overcrossing.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we might have considered that.
How about you?
We applied for what we're calling the Adrian and Arlen safety corridor. Basically, we're a roundabout that we had studied and that would have been part of, or still could be, I suppose, part of the Southwest Corridor project or Complete Streets project. Our estimate came in a little higher than what we would have liked, so we said, hey, let's try it for SS4A for roundabout, bike ped safety improvements close to the school, and other such countermeasures on mostly on Adrian. So that we asked for a little over $1 million for a $1.3 million project. I don't know what the chances are of getting anything, but I figure might as well try.
We did not thought about it, but I don't have the staff to do any more work than we have currently, so kind of waiting to see how others are and are successful at Safe Roads or Safe Streets for All, sorry. And maybe next round, because it's going to be multiple rounds, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 5 rounds.
Yeah. We're actually going to be bringing this up to the Vision Zero Advisory Committee next month too, to investigate doing a countywide combined application at some point.
Is that for planning, Chris, or infrastructure?
It could be both. Yeah, we'd like to do some additional supplemental planning for the action plan, but if we could do multiple things, that's something we could investigate.
We came up 2 points short on the state round of the ATP, which we actually scored 2 points higher. So we're sure we're going to crush the regional through MTC and we're going to get it. So it wasn't a huge surprise not to get it at the state, but we were hopeful.
Yeah, I think we're all disappointed that it looked like Santa Cruz County came away with probably at least 10% of the funding that was available, and they got over $100 million for some rail trail projects. And because of that and a lot of other big projects, a lot of our smaller projects that were close to the cutoff line didn't get funded, unfortunately. And we are having conversations with MTC about their regional call for projects, and we're hoping to help prioritize the submittals from our county for funding, and hopefully we'll go back from that soon.
Larry, when are you going to know for the county recommendation, or the regional recommendations for ATP?
I believe it's January, but correct me if I'm wrong, Dana.
No, that's correct. And the staff recommendations will be out, or should be out in January.
Okay, Larry, you're there. I know it.
They seem to move pretty quickly after the state gets announced. Nancy talked about one project that was significantly over. Anyone else have anything about the bid environment?
We just bid a small park project, 2 basketball courts, and they came in right at the engineer's estimate, although that was the lowest one. It came in, the highest one was about, it's only a $400,000 project, but the highest one came in around 560. But the awarding bid did come in at right at the engineer's estimate.
Nice, as
What
long as you
project
get
was that
one.
We got seven bids too.
Oh, wow.
So what was that project?
It's a couple basketball courts in one of our parks. We got the
Oh
per
my
capita.
God.
Yeah.
You see how it all comes back to basketball. All right, I'm not gonna say anymore.
Ken?
Yeah, we had, I think this is a little bit old news, 6 bidders on North McDowell, and the low bid was roughly 20% lower than the engineer's estimate. The successful low bidder, I should say. And that contract is currently signed by the contractor and being circulated at the city. And work will be starting on North McDowell from Sunrise Parkway to Old Redwood Highway here in the next month and a half or so. Thanks.
Nice, thanks for the update. Anyone else?
Hey, Ken, was that like a pavement project or what was that?
It's a complete streets project, so there's definitely improvements. There's sidewalk gap closures, there's
Right.
buffered bike lane, but it's primarily a major reconstruction of the pavement. Yep.
Right. That's interesting. I don't understand how, because Santa Rosa Avenue is about bike and ped enhancements. We're going to be doing some lane reconfiguration and just installing some, crosswalks and the bike lanes and buffered bike lanes. So I don't understand. You guys are engineers. Why why are we getting, like, his came in like right at the engineer's estimate, and then we've got bids that were way over ours. Why is there such a variation in bids? I don't understand that.
And part of it is probably the engineer's estimate.
Yeah.
If people are being overly cautious, they're bumping those numbers up or looking at the most recent bids. A lot goes into creating that estimate, and if you're using old numbers, you're gonna be low. Steve?
Well,
Go ahead. No, that makes sense. And I don't know the backstory on Santa Rosa Avenue. But that's, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it can also depend on contractors' backlog, where else they're working. If they've got a lot of projects under contract right now, they'll throw a larger bid at it, and maybe something will stick, and they'll make larger profit on that on to keep their crews going, especially this time of year. So they'll I was going to apologize to the group about Sonoma County using up all the paving resources in Sonoma County. We've got a contractor on one of our contracts that seems to think that climate change is real and he can pave through the winter because our 2022 PPP project is I think about halfway paved. So we're a little worried about the weather and other things, but for some reason, Argonaut feels like they can get the rest of that project done in December and January.
They're not worried about the nighttime temperature, Steve?
Oh, they are, yeah, because they're not paving because of that. They're on River Road right now, paving at night, and so they're out of temperature. So their construction windows are getting smaller, and the specter of liquidated damages are getting closer and closer and closer. So yeah, it's been a little fussy working with them. They've got one paving crew, but they were the low bidder on our pretty significant project. It's $20 million this year, so we're going to have kind of the same thing next year between that and the PG&E settlement funds. So lots of asphalt going out on the roads these days, which is good for public safety and bicycles and walkers and all that kind of good stuff too. Where's Steve at? There he is. He's still here. Okay.
Onward, other business comments, announcements. I'll just throw out follow-up from the bollards on pathway conversation that we had last month. As much as I've tried pushing it out, I am going to council on the Monday, the 7th. I guess a week from this Monday. It's going to be discussion, direction. It isn't an action, but basically proposing taking out the majority of our bollards, but leaving a centerline bollard in nearly every case. Similar to what the county did following the incident where they had the fatality. So nothing breaking news there. Chris had asked me to present what I'm presenting to council, I think on Tuesday, the 8th of November to the Vision Zero Committee. Just letting you all know. That's all I have. Anyone have anything else?
Just a couple of job announcements from SCTA. We are recruiting a transportation planner focusing on transit integration and also a data analyst to help backfill Chris's promotion and help on some other resource needs that we have. So if you know anyone that's looking, we're hiring right now. I'm sure everyone else is hiring as well.
Oh, yeah. So I'll chime in on that. It's a good segue. So we're actually re-advertising for our active transportation planner. We didn't get a successful candidate with the first recruitment. So the job announcement hopefully should go out this week. It was supposed to go out Monday, but there was a technical issue. And my position, they're close to getting that one ready to go. I'm hoping that it's released that first week of November for my position. So pass the word along.
And we've been trying to hire engineers and it has been dismal. So if you could send me email addresses for your best CIP engineers within your staff, and I can email them directly.
Oh, so
We have the same comment.
so Larry, so we are down our CIP team. We are down 50% in engineers. That's how bad it is for Santa Rosa, right? So our staff is in half. So it's a struggle.
We haven't had a public works department in 18 months. So here I am as the planner.
Now that Shauna's joined us, I think it's time to adjourn. Anyone have anything to add before we do?
Thanks, Larry.
I would just encourage anyone, poach staff from other counties, not from within Sonoma County. Don't want to lose anyone else in Napa County.
I'd like to say I was joking, but.
No.
As long as we're mentioning it, did we mention that we have a transportation planner?
Yep, David had it all covered.
Awesome.
One thing, Chair Zimmer, just on the last note is the next TAC meeting will be on December 1st, just a shift from the regular programming due to the Thanksgiving holiday. So just want to make everyone aware of that.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Did we also talk about the Brown Act stuff?
We did not.
Oh, so if you hadn't heard already, the governor is ending his COVID-19 state of emergency as of February 28th of next year. So starting in March, we're going back to normal Brown Act procedures. So I'm assuming that's going to mean in-person meetings unless we do public noticing at every location that people want to call in from. So we'll probably have more on that in the next few months, but just want to give everyone a heads up that come the spring, we'll be looking forward to seeing you all in person, hopefully.
Good and bad there.
Well, not good for me. I won't be there.
I'll make sure to send you the packet, Nancy.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Do we have any other comments? Going once? Going twice? We are adjourned at 2:05. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on December 1st.